Christmas is approaching very soon, my friends, but it seems like we are getting some plans and ideas behind how next year is starting to shape up, as today we discuss massive inquiry news as well as all the latest news surrounding the club right now. So my friends, hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions, but before we move on, today's video is brought to you by NordVPN. With Christmas literally being 3 days away, hopefully you'll be spending quality time with your loved ones and your family. You'll be eating good, fingers crossed, no burnt turkeys this Christmas. You'll be drinking good. But outside all the festivities, my friends, there is the important matter of having football to watch. As we know, this beautiful game doesn't take any holidays, and neither should your access to it. And this is why NordVPN might just be one of the best gifts you'll receive during Christmas, as NordVPN gives you the protection and freedom to enjoy it all across the whole world with no restrictions. But Nord isn't just useful for football. NordVPN unblocks content across the world for you, my friends, which is perfect for finding those particular Christmas movies that might be region blocked in your location. So make sure NordVPN is your festive companion during this season and open up the internet very securely. Right now, take advantage of NordVPN's huge discount offer. Go to nordvpn.com/BlueLinesTV. This link will give you 4 extra months on a 2-year plan. There are no risks with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. My friends, you'll find all the relevant links and information in the description below and pinned on the top comment. So thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video. So let's start things off by discussing the news that broke late last night. Sorry, my friends, I wasn't about yesterday. I had important matters to attend to, but as we learned yesterday, Reece James has already completed his surgery for his hamstrings. Of course, there was much discussion and deliberation around whether James may get surgery or may find other alternatives to get back to fitness, but there was this belief everywhere that maybe surgery might be the best course of action, considering that James has exhausted other alternatives and they haven't necessarily helped. Now, let's keep things real. Surgery hasn't cured this issue forever. Hopefully it just gives him more of a better chance to strengthen in these areas, of course. But yesterday, my friends, James was in Finland completing his surgery and he released a statement afterwards. So let's break down what his statement said. As he says, the footballing world knew I got injured, but the procedure I would go down this time took slightly longer to figure out the best solution. I had surgery today to fix my reoccurring hamstring issue. The recovery has started, both physically and mentally. Since this injury, I've had a good amount of support, but significantly more hate and negativity. Believe me, I don't want to be injured. I'm happiest when I'm playing football. Thanks to the understanding people that support me despite the highs or the lows, it goes a long way. Stay well, Reece James. And listen, it's nice to see on Instagram a lot of old players, old heads, everyone showing their support towards James. And so that's what Reece James had to say. But to focus on his point about the negativity, listen, when he picked up the last hamstring injury, I think the popular consensus was, we've had enough, sell this guy, replace him. We can't rely upon him. And obviously, that might be tough to take when you're a young player like Reece James that's given so much to this club already, has been one of our best players. We can't forget the impact this guy brings. And sometimes during moments of hardship, you want to feel that support from the fan base. So hopefully now we can all get behind him, support him, let him come back. But my friends, let's end this story on a positive note, because we're getting more confirmation about the success of the surgery now, courtesy of a Telegraph interview. And Reece James' surgeon actually said, listen, we did the operation on his right hamstring injury in Finland and it went very well. I am very convinced that Reece will be in top shape before the European Championships. And he also says the surgery gives Reece James a better chance of staying fit and not having reoccurring problems. We are only talking about the right side, of course, but he also had some problems on his left side. Now, during rehab, particularly in the last phase, we would do the sport-specific rehab. We will do our best that these risks should be minimized. The hamstring on the right will be stronger, yes. His surgeon is saying Reece James will come back a fitter, stronger player, and says that James won't suffer any reoccurring issues with his right hamstring again. So this is the news I want to hear, because my God, we have the best right back in the world. We cannot forget that. So it's very positive news to hear. I mean, this doctor is a specialist. He's had a big reputation in the sport. He famously worked on David Beckham's Achilles heel injury all those years back. So he knows what he's doing and he has experience. So this makes me a happy guy. So my friends, that's the Reece James surgery news out the way. And I'll be planning on making a double raid for Diomande and Gyokeres. Well, courtesy of the Evening Standard, they report that we have made inquiries for both players. Let's start off by discussing Diomande first, and as the article states, we have made contact with Sporting over the possibility of even signing Diomande in January. Very interesting. As we know, for a long time, we are looking to reinforce the centre-back area. Already, Sporting Lisbon have turned down an inquiry for us. They remain very adamant that if they sell him in January, a club has to pay his full 80 million, which is around £69 million release clause, if they hope to sign him. And obviously, Sporting only signed Diomande at the end of January this year for around 7.5 million. I know his former Danish club in the FC Midlands, they will receive around 20% of any future sales. So it makes a lot of sense why Sporting want maximum money if they decide to sell. Regardless, though, of course, we've also made an inquiry for one of the most informed strikers in Europe currently, in the Swedish powerhouse, Mr. PMP himself, Invicta Gyokeres. 17 goals, 8 assists in 20 games for Sporting Lisbon is crazy. But I can't help but thinking, Sporting have invested less than 25 million to sign both players, and they could potentially flip them both in less than 12 months for around 156 million. That's crazy, crazy money, crazy, crazy figures. But could our season's form force us to take yet another risk in the January market? Very interesting. I mean, as we learned a few days back, Portuguese reports mentioned the fact that we had sent scouts in attendance to watch Sporting Lisbon's 2-0 win against FC Porto, and this is where Gyokeres scored the opening goal in the 2-0 win. So, you know, it's quite obvious that we are really looking at Gyokeres at the moment. He's ticking a lot of boxes. The cynical part of me thinks to myself, though, this guy was available in the summer for like, what, 15 million, 17 million pounds? I think Sporting signed him for 17 million pounds. He would have cost less than half the money it took to sign Nicholas Jackson. I'm not saying that Jackson's a flop. I think this guy can come good, but it depends if the club invests in him, gives him that time and patience to grow. But it makes me wonder, okay, with all this emphasis on data and sporting directors and signing people early, why was Gyokeres not someone that was, you know, mentioned or looked at in the summer window? Especially considering the fact that in less than 6 months, you're making inquiries where this guy will cost like, what, 4 or 5 times the amount of money. It doesn't make as much sense in my opinion. And on top of this too, you know, why would Sporting Lisbon want to sell for less money? I mean, right now for them, it's a title challenging season. They're top of the Portuguese table right now. You know, they're in it to win it. Imagine losing 2 of your star players in your system in January. I'm sorry, if that was me, I want peak premium money if I'm even thinking about selling either player. But focusing on Gyokeres for now, obviously, I guess we'd probably be selling players to fund this move. I'd imagine Broja's probably getting sold. Could he be used as a replacement player going to Sporting Lisbon to allow us to sign Gyokeres? Who knows? It's pure speculation on my part. I think he's a good player. I think he's a powerhouse. I knew about this guy from his exploits at Coventry City, but he was, you know, building up a bit of a cult following for himself. And, you know, you were seeing his game from last season, the Championship, you know, 1 and 2 goals in that league. Definition of PMP, fast, strong, takes his shots early, pure conviction in his strike. And, you know, at 25 years old, he's approaching his peak years. But I think for me, for the money it would take to sign him, this gives me reservations. Obviously, I take more inclination from the Liverpool model of, listen, if we're going to spend big money on someone, we will take our time to sign the perfect player for that position. That's how they signed Van Dijk, Salah, Alisson. And I just feel like, as our league season form, kind of tempting us towards making a rush decision and purchase to sign Gyokeres for right now, when in the summer window, there could be better options available. We haven't even seen the full extent of Jackson, Broja, or even Nkunku. And I just think to myself, let's see how these guys perform first. And let's wait until the summer at least, where someone like Osimhen is available now with a release clause of around 130 million euros. I feel like if I'm going to spend big money, I have to spend that big money on guarantees right now. I think we need a few guaranteed signings alongside all the promise we have right now to find like an overall balance across the whole squad and team. But at the same time, we are only making an inquiry, which means that, you know, we're still assessing our options. We want to get an idea behind how much he may cost. He is on the shortlist, but this is no guarantee that we are looking to sign him right now in January. But before I move on, of course, when it comes to Diomande, I'm going to hold my hands up. You know, I'm no expert. I'll hold my hands up. Maybe I'm not seeing things in the right way, but I think to myself, why do we necessarily need a defender for right now? I mean, we know that Silva's going to be leaving, but he won't be leaving in January. Obviously, Gallagher's attracting interest from Roma, but that's only on loan, and would we waste a loan spot, which could be very useful for a youth player, on sending Gallagher on loan? I'm not too sure. And the only thing I see from signing Diomande right now is that you are beating competition in the summer by signing him right now. But when you have Badia, Shield, Colwell, you know, Silva, Disasi, Fofana is, you know, still on the road to recovery, but he'll be back next year. Is there utility to adding another centre-back to the squad? I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. You guys share your thoughts and opinions. I want to like gauge how you guys are feeling behind this story. But my initial reaction, not even opinion, just my reaction, is it not overkill? I mean, having like a future defensive Dio, Fofana, Disasi, Badia, Colwell, I mean, that is a lot of young excellence to have in your squad, right? And you know, I think to myself, would it work if all these young guys are competing to like win a spot where there's only 2 or maybe 3 spots available in the team? I don't know, to be honest with you. It seems like we're investing a lot of money on youth players if maybe 2 or 3 of these guys might rise to the cream of the top after a handful of seasons. I think Diomande will definitely allow us to play with a higher back line, but then it makes me question, why was Disasi then signed in that sense when he's always been more of like a traditional, you know, box defender? You know, he's not that fast. His turning cycles are a bit slow, but in the box, that's where he's a lot more comfortable. I think in the future, there will definitely be a selection headache for Pochettino. I mean, Fofana costs big money. Badia costs big money. Of course, the Disasi costs like nearly 40 as well. And then Diomande could cost you 50 plus on top of having Colwell as well too. So listen, maybe there is a strategy the club is seeing that I'm not understanding or seeing right now. I'll hold my hands up, but I think it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. So yeah, I'm going to end things right there. Share your thoughts and opinions, my friends. Right now, let's end things with the final story. And we briefly discuss Conor Gallagher because as reported by Sky Sports, they report that Tottenham are still open to the possibility of making another move to sign Gallagher in the January window. As we learned from Sky Sports report, they stated that there was an agreement in place in the summer between us and Spurs on principle, of course, but in the end, we decided against accepting any offer because Connor's form at the start of the season was that good that, you know, we couldn't afford to miss him in our team. Very interesting story. It does mention the fact that Spurs would have to sell before they could buy, with Emil Højbjerg being someone that could be seen as the sale, of course, to fund this move for Conor Gallagher. I'd be curious to know how inclined we'd be to push through a move. I think it could be fully dependent on how desperate we are to reinforce other areas of the team. But it does seem like the magic number we've wanted for Conor is 50 million for, you know, this whole season. West Ham came very close. I think it was 42.5 million plus 5 mil add-ons, but then it wasn't close enough. And obviously Spurs got turned down in the end. I think it's an interesting story. Obviously, we know that Conor hasn't agreed to signing a contract extension. Do I agree with the fact that he must accept this 8-year deal where he won't be getting 200,000 a week on an 8-year deal? It's going to be heavily performance related. And the issue with this is that if he agrees to signing this extension, it's going to simply mean that all his negotiation powers over the years, when he like hits his peak years, they won't be a thing. It will be non-existent. So it's like, why will you like stop your possibilities to earn more? I think it's normal for any player to want to get maximum career earnings. I think every single player in the world does that. Who doesn't do that? I think Conor would be targeting his peak contract years when he's like, 27, 28, 29. So I'm not too sure it makes too much sense for him right now to tie himself down on a big long-term contract, knowing the fact that many players have done the same thing. And these are the same players now that the club are looking to sell in January to fund moves to sign other players. So there's not much utility behind doing it. I'm hoping the club finds an agreement soon. I think Connor's showing he's one of the most improved players now in Europe. I think his defensive stats are up there with the best in Europe in terms of pressures and all those key defensive actions that you want. And I don't think it makes sense to undermine Pochettino's tactically. I mean, to miss out on a player like Connor, no player replaces him in the squad. It wouldn't make any sense. And I just, from a principle perspective as well, I don't like the fact that, there's so much emphasis on just like data and buying young, that I think Connor's success so far is a reminder that you can never fully foresee the future, right? In terms of how players develop, because if you give any player the perfect conditions of belief, support from the manager, a system that uses him in his best way, you're going to see so much improvement in that player that you would never have seen otherwise. And how does the data equate for those types of metrics? I don't think it really does. I think it has to be used in balance with the human side of the sport. And Connor is an example that, you can't be quantified by numbers if you don't get the best conditions to be able to play to your very best. So, we need to have that balance of like great potential, but players who are your guarantees right now, and maybe one or two star guys that are like the ones who are clear, to bring greater balance across the squad. But yeah, it would make no sense to sell Gallagher right now. Time will tell. Let's see what happens, my friends. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. So thank you for watching. Hit that like button, and of course, help support the channel. Use my special link for NordVPN. Of course, secure yourself this Christmas. Open up the internet for yourself. I've got it. And listen, I know that internet security is a very important thing. And I think this is a great deal to take advantage of for the start of the new year, because you're going to get this for a very heavily discounted price. So my friends, I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys later today with the preview. Cool.